For generations, British kids have been entertained by the antics within the Beano comic book. Me, I was more of a Buster fan. Anyway, starting way back in 1938, it became a cornerstone of British culture, featuring residents of Beanotown that would become iconic, including the Bash Street Kids, Roger the Dodger, Lord Snooty, Minnie the Minx, Biffo the Bear, yeah, the one from the memes, Calamity James, and of course, Dennis the Menace. Not that one. The characters of the comic only ever made the jump to video games once, and fairly late too. Beanotown Racing was released in 2003, and it's a perfect candidate for our series on the weird world of licensed games, so let's take a look. Oh, and we'll also have a peek at the unreleased Dennis Gnasher game, stay tuned for that. The Beano comic has seen a lot of changes over the years, but has always been about kids getting into various mischief and having fun. Times have obviously changed, and the Beano has changed with them. The decline of the comic book as a medium has affected the Beano's reach, and also led to the close of its sister comic The Dandy in 2012, which still does partly survive via its yearly annuals and summer special. Characters from the Beano barely stretched beyond the comic book pages as the time changed though. Most notably, Dennis the Menace has had numerous cartoon series over the years, and this is how I came to know him, through the first such series which ran from 1996 to 1998. Eventually, in 2003, a video game based on the comic was finally released. Beanotown Racing was released for PC, being developed by Simian Industries and published by Zoo Digital Publishing. Unsurprisingly, the game was only released in the UK. Oh, and also Russia for some reason. What was it doing there? The comic was never released over there, so I'm not sure why it made that journey. As you have probably guessed from the title, Beanotown Racing is a kart racing game, that old reliable format for so many licensed games, but forever living in the shadow of Mario Kart. Let's boot it up then, fairly easily since the game still works on modern PCs. The title screen is pretty cool. It's got a number of locations from Beanotown, including the Bash Street School, Minnie the Minx's house, and there's Lord Snooty on a skateboard, who doesn't even appear in the game otherwise. The main menu lets us play a single race, time trial, or the Beanotown Championship, which we'll jump right into. To the character select screen, and we've got a selection of 12 characters, although only half of them will be available at the start, and we'll have to unlock the rest through winning on various circuits with specific characters. So the roster comprises of Roger the Dodger, Gnasher, Desperate Dan from the Dandy? Yep, this is also technically a crossover with the Dandy comic, although that's not too much of an achievement, as both were published by the same company, DC Thompson, and regularly crossed over. Next is B, Dennis's baby sister, Dennis the Menace himself, Plug from the Bash Street Kids, Banana Man, who kids like me growing up will know from the 90s cartoon, Minnie the Minx, Corky the Cat from the Dandy, and Brain Dwayne the hapless inventor, also from the Dandy. It's not a bad lineup I suppose, but considering the Beano's long history, we could have gotten a much bigger variety. Where's Lord Snooty? Biffo the Bear? More of the Bash Street Kids? It seems a little bit of a missed opportunity. There are 2 secret characters available, but we'll discuss them later. Moving on to the championship proper, we have a grand total of 6 tracks to race on, comprising of all the tracks in the game. It's not a lot. We can choose our difficulty, you can't change the number of laps in the championship despite it appearing here, and we're off. Track 1 is Wild in the Country, and is a drive around the country. You'll quickly notice the controls take some getting used to, as you slip around corners without releasing the accelerator. As this is a kart racing game, you'll also pick up weapons scattered around the track. The character select screens seem to indicate that the weapons were unique to each character, but anyone can pick them up. Items include an invincibility bubble for Roger the Dodger, cow pies for Dan, which home in on your opponents, banana skins from Banana Man to do what banana skins always do, slip up other racers, Minnie the Minx provides the pea shooter, and B has a fart cloud. Oh yes, that's the kind of humour I want to see in this game. Track 2 is the Bash Street Burn Up, which has us going through the Bash Street School, driving around the playground, canteen, corridors, and gym. You'll notice that the levels have a kind of comic book aesthetic that works somewhat well. The graphics aren't anything special for a 2003 game, but serviceable and fit the Beano aesthetic. Next is Street Streak, where we'll be racing through the streets of Beanotown. We see some of the famous locations such as the Bash Street School, but not too much though, and it feels again a little bit of a missed opportunity to cram in some more references. You'll also notice that there's some alternative routes you can take in each of the tracks. but they don't really save any time, so I can't really call them shortcuts. Next is the Dandy Dash at the Dandy Embassy in Beanotown, a location that pops up in the comic too to serve the occasional crossover. You'll drive around the embassy and its grounds, launching out of a balcony onto a helipad, but there's little to say on this one. It would have been nice to see more dandy references scattered about here. Next up is Haunted Castle. Again, not too much to say about this one. It's your obligatory creepy level with nothing really standing out. Although the skeletons of teachers in the basement change up in iron socks, I'm not sure what that's about. Finally, we reach the climax of the Beanotown Championship, Wild West Test, taking place in Desperate Dan's hometown of Cactusville. Here, you'll be driving around the dusty desert and the Old West town. With that done, the final ceremony takes place and the winner is crowned. If you win, you unlock Desperate Dan as a playable character too. And yeah, that's it really. You can unlock the rest of the characters and do single races or time trials, but you'll soon run out of things to do. Perhaps the biggest sin of all is that there's no two-player mode. What kind of kart game doesn't have multiplayer? It's what they're made for. One last thing though is that the game has cheats. These were included in the Beano comic and unlocked by typing them in at the main menu, and confirmed with Dennis looking shady. These do things like make the karts or characters bigger, turn the screen upside down, and most importantly unlock 2 bonus characters. Typing Walter in and selecting Dennis at the character select screen will allow you to race as Walter the Softie. Next, typing in Calamity will automatically take you to the track select, and upon starting the race you'll be playing as Calamity James. In a final troll to the player, playing as James inverts your left-right controls, meaning you'll probably be sliding about all over the place. Poor James can never catch a break, can he? Anyway, that's all there is to say about Beanotown Racing. It's a little sparse, awkward to control, but it is the only appearance of the Beano characters in a video game, and the comic book aesthetic is consistently nice. It's mostly inoffensive with nothing god-awful about it, but come on guys, at least give us multiplayer. In the rankings of licensed kart games, it's no Mario Kart or Crash Team Racing, but it's definitely better than Heathcliff the Fast and the Furriest. That is not much of an accomplishment though, but I'm sure you're all wondering, is it better than Woody Woodpecker Racing on the PS1? I don't know. I'm not playing that, I hate that annoying bird. So there's another weird licensed game ticked off, but many more still to go, so join me wait, we're not done yet. Didn't I promise you a look at an unreleased Dennis the Menace game? I think I did. Yes, Dennis & Gnasher was planned for release on Amiga and DOS around Christmas 1993. The game featured in gaming magazines including Amiga Power, so the developers, Alternative Software, must have been confident of getting it out onto the market. An unfinished version was leaked online in about 2019, so we can at least get a glimpse of what could have been. The prototype opens up with a disclaimer. This product is aimed at children in the 7 to 12 year old range and has been designed with limited violence in mind. Limited violence? I guess we won't be kicking Walter in the shins then. Oh well. The title screen gives you the basic premise of the game. 4 of Dennis's friends have gone missing, with Gnasher being caught by the dog catcher, Nipper just going missing, Rasher was last seen on the way to the market, and Minnie has been captured by the Softies and held in their castle. Why do they have a castle? To make matters worse, Dad has grounded Dennis, and thus our favourite menace must make his way around Beanotown, avoiding Dad and rescuing our friends. The game has an isometric perspective and gives you an opportunity to wander around Beanotown freely, collecting items and exploring its famous sites. What stands out about this game is just how big it is. The map is huge, and you can go into most of the houses and indoor environments. Nearly all of them are empty, but I'm sure they would have been filled with something or someone in the finished version. As mentioned, while you're exploring Beanotown, Dad will sometimes show up and chase you. If he catches you, you lose a life. Or you're supposed to, but the game crashes instead. There's barely anything to do in this game other than run around. Clearly, a lot of the story and progression had not been programmed in yet, so I'll just give you a tour of what I found. We start off with our trusty slingshot and a few tomatoes to fire, which will stun Dad for a second or two, so it's not very useful. By making our way to the Bash Street School, we can find a water pistol in the classroom, but don't go in the teacher's lounge because you get caught by teacher. We can also go to the gym to get a trampoline. Yep, just pop that whole trampoline into your inventory, Dennis. This allows you to spawn a trampoline and use it to jump high into the air, Unfortunately, you can't jump over anything in the game, so I didn't see much of a use for it. The trampoline is also kind of broken, in which you can spawn an infinite number of them and fill the screen with trampolines. Every kid's dream. You can also trap yourself among them though, so be careful. You can run into Roger the Dodger, who I think was supposed to help you in the final game, but you can't interact with him here. He's got a book or something, maybe that's what we're supposed to get? Who knows? Next door is Walter, who again you can't interact with. Well, you can shoot him with your slingshot, which you can and should do. I mean, what's the point of playing a Dennis the Menace game otherwise? You can get a cat basket to pick up Minnie's cat Chester and set him down wherever you like. Again, there's nothing you can really do with him. We can head to the castle, which is presumably where Minnie is being held, but I couldn't find her or anything of interest. There's a 1-up in the graveyard, ironic. In the northwest you can find the Free Bears, the characters from the comic. You can't do anything with them though. I'm guessing you would have to collect the free jars of honey scattered about and return them to the bears. I'm assuming they're jars of honey, they've got a H on them anyway. There's other locations including Danny and Nanny's house, various shops, the police station, gotta shoot the policeman at least once, and so many empty houses. It is quite impressive in terms of scale, but a lack of any kind of story or progression in this version means we can't really judge how good it might have been when finished. It's just a playground to wander about in this state. So we have to ask, why was this game cancelled? There's no known answer to that. We could speculate that 1993 was very late in the Amiga's lifespan to release a game for it, and maybe it was decided it was not worth finishing, although there was a DOS version too, which is the one that is available. That said, developer Alternative Software did release another Amiga game in the same year, this one also a licensed game based on the BBC sitcom 'Allo 'Allo. We'll deal with that in due course. There was also the fact that the US Dennis the Menace was also planning to release a game based off it in the same year, and actually did. Maybe this conflict caused the game to be pulled. Again, there's no information either way. The game never saw the light of day. A shame really, since the Beano characters could have easily utilised the video game format back when the comic was popular enough to do so. Nowadays, the Beano has embraced games a little through the many browser games on its official website, but that's about it. And so, that's it for Beanotown Racing and Dennis the Menace, fulfilling yet another episode of the weird world of licensed games. Join me again soon for more of the most obscure and odd adaptations to the format of video games.